Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. This is a superhero movie review. Today I'll be having a look at the Justice League of America movie. That's right, you heard me, this is no joke. There has actually been a Justice League film already from 1997. Well, technically it's not actually a film. This was actually a unaired featured pilot, but it was sold to the European markets as a film. Now, as far as I'm aware, it's never actually officially been available in the US, but it has been available in, let's say, parts of Europe and I believe Australia as well. So, this being obviously an unaired TV pilot, it's got a very, very low budget feel to it. Now, before I get into too much, this is more like a version of the Super Friends than the Justice League. So it's a very, very light-hearted sort of version of the Justice League, and it's probably not Justice League as you would expect them. You haven't got really any of the sort of the big three there. You've not got Wonder Woman, you've not got Batman, you've not got Superman, and I believe that was sort of for copyright infringement at the time. So, and also the origin has been changed and things like that. So it really is more sort of based on Justice League rather than a Justice League movie. So this is really the kind of origin of the of one of the superheroes called Ice. So in this, and I'm going to call it a film because that's how it was released here in the UK. In the film, basically, the Justice League are already formed. You've got the Flash, Barry Allen Flash. You've got Green Lantern, Guy Gardner version. You've got a female character called Fire, and a guy called Atom. You also have Martian Manhunter, but he doesn't turn up until about halfway through the film. So the plot of this film really is about a kind of crazy scientist who's creating a sort of weather manipulation device to ultimately hold the city hostage, and for $20 million. So the first thing obviously is if someone actually built a device, and this guy's the head of a company which must have been, you know, earning a reasonable amount of money. But if you built a device which could manipulate weather and make rain and what have you, I'm sure you could probably sell it for more than 20 million, but even in 1997. But there you go. So, and it's obviously up to the Justice League to try and stop them. So that's basically the plot, really. And it's just, as I say, it's a very, very light-hearted, very sort of superficial version of the sort of heroes that we've seen. So, as I say, you've got really you'll know Flash, you'll know Green Lantern, you'll probably know Martian Manhunter. The other characters, to be honest with you, I'm not sure are even real characters. I think Atom might be, but I'm not sure about Fire and Ice. They're not actually at all related. They just happen to be Fire and Ice. I'm not massively into DC Comics. I'm not 100% sure if those two characters certainly are actual characters. I'm sure someone can tell me in the comments if not. So with Ice, basically, she obviously we see her have a lab accident, and she basically, whenever she's emotional, can basically freeze stuff. Fire is this kind of this sort of actress, this sort of very sort of entry level actress who's sort of going around and can basically have sort of the same sort of powers as Firestar. She can kind of fly and shoot sort of fire powers. Atom is this high school teacher who's kind of this nerdy guy, and he can kind of shrink down to various sizes. You've got Flash, who is unemployed in this one. Barry Allen he's just some, you know, basically like a bit of a doofus, and is unemployed, and he's obviously he can sort of run around fast. You've got the Guy Gardner version of the Green Lantern. We don't really told much about the sort of people's powers and stuff. We're simply told he found the ring, but we're not really no mention is made of the sort of the Green Lantern core or anything like that, basically. And so Martian Manhunter doesn't turn up until about halfway through the film. He actually, I would have to say, probably looks the best out of the costumes. I think everyone else pretty much looks like a fancy dress costume. I mean, arguably Green Lantern, I think, isn't too bad. Too bad of a costume. Although his sort of colour scheme is a little bit off. I think that's probably because of their having green screen behind it and things like that. He looks more like a teal colour. But it's very, very campy. It's very, very silly. The bad guys, he's not a supervillain. He's just some guy who's got weather machine played by Miguel Ferrer. I can understand why this wasn't made into a series. This film reminds me a lot of like the Star Wars Holiday Special, and where George Lucas and LucasArts basically want to sort of bury that as deep as they possibly can and kind of wish it was never made. And I can imagine DC are very much the same sort of thing. It's not a good film. It's a very, very basic plot. The humour is very, very juvenile and ridiculous. There's no sense of drama in it. It's obviously made for kids. Yes, it's done on a very low budget, so we can joke about the effects and things like that. But you have to bear in mind that there's a fair amount of effects on this sort of pilot, and it's obviously done for virtually peanuts. So I always won't really rain too much on special effects based on the sort of the year that it was made and on the budget. So I'm sure they probably did the best with the effects of the technology they had for the money back in 1997. But obviously, if we look at it today, it just looks ridiculous basically. But it's just not very interesting to watch. It's a very dull film. The characters are, although they're obviously based on comic book characters, they just don't seem like real fleshed out people, which is a bit of a funny thing to say, obviously, considering they're obviously based on comic characters anyway. But they're not well developed characters. They're not well developed personalities. They all seem very, very cliche. Throughout the film as well, we have these little snippets of almost like they're recording a documentary for public view, which is a bit weird because of the whole film they sort of have these secret identities all the time. But then you sort of have these small little sections where they're kind of almost like they're filming this, like, oh yes, this is the Justice League, sort of behind the scenes and whatever. So that was a bit of a weird thing. It's not a very good film, pilot, TV series, whatever you want to call it. Really only to be watched as an oddity if you're a Justice League fan and see what people were thinking of the Justice League back in 1997. It's kind of a bit of a chore to sit through. Not a fun film to watch unless you're just going to watch it to take the piss off and maybe get some ideas for a Halloween costume. So I'm going to give this film a 3 out of 10. Having seen it, let me know what you think and leave me a comment. I look forward to seeing you next time. See you later.